Well, thank you so much for keeping it GBS Morning Extra. I hope you had a wonderful night. It's another very cold morning here in Nairobi. I don't know where you are, but you can join us in the conversation. Hashtag GBS Morning Extra. Tell us where you're watching us from. And of course, 21144. That's our SMS lines. And today, I'm not alone. I'm joined by Rocky Nokoth, Secretary General, MDF Kenya. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm fine.
Asante sana wakuja.
Thank you.
Okay, and a lot has been happening over the weekend, throughout the week.
Sure.
And what do you make of all this, especially the state of the country right now? Everybody seems like to be in that referendum mood.
Yeah, the country right now is in a mess. It's not just about referendum. It's also about the lack of honesty with our leaders. Because even if you look at the question of county governments being at war with the national government, and the leadership of county governments going to court about the division of revenue, find that it actually baffles the common mwananchi, because mwananchi is unable to maybe see development because of this conflict between the national government and the county governments, and with the politics that's surrounding the same.
Okay. Yeah. And of course the wrangle between the Senate and the National Assembly.
Yeah, sure.
They are forgetting that that's our money.
Sure.
Okay, let's look at what the daily does this morning. We started the NAT and Kuppet clash on teacher salaries, ruling on Friday last week by the Labour Court that set aside career progression guidelines as divided the two main teachers unions in the country, and Kuppet is threatening to go for another suit. And of course, they're talking about the 2017 election, exposed agent in Jubilee 2017 elections team. High-profile British Prime Minister Alexandra Phillips admits for months of denial that she secretly worked for disgraced digital marketing company Cambridge Analytica that was highly involved and accused of tampering with the 2017 elections. And with such confessions, what do you call them? Why is the word disappearing? Confessions. So, sure. Sorry. What do you make of all this?
You know, this is a perfect example of agenda setting by a foreign. It is very dangerous to our democracy as a country that we have individuals, powerful individuals outside the state who control our democracy, our voting system. And you know, Cambridge Analytica at first denied its involvement in the elections of our leaders in 2017, but the fact that she has come out means that our democracy is still controlled from individuals, not just in the UK, but also in Europe and USA.
It also raises questions about the electoral body. So,
you know, such bodies like Cambridge Analytica, their main role is to control the agenda. Even if you look today in the CNN or in any international news station, you find that Donald Trump, with his tweets about racism, he seems to be controlling the agenda of the world. And it is like every media station seems to be glued or to be guided by his tweets and his agendas, to maybe serve their people. So Cambridge Analytica and Alexandria, the fact that she admits that she was involved in the state affairs of Kenya, it means that we are not sovereign. We are still being controlled by Britain, by the UK. The fact that we have a history with the UK means, and the fact that she admits to have taken part in the controlling of the agenda of the state means that we are still an extension of London, and maybe they feel that we are an appendage to them and they can still control and micromanage issues concerning the state of affairs in this country, which is very bad, and it is dangerous for the democracy of any state.
And the company also denied being involved in the whole process.
Yeah, because they understand international law. They know that they are violating international law. We are supposed to be a sovereign state, and no other state, there is nobody or any individual above Kenya that should meddle in the affairs of the country. That's why they were denying. So right now I know that the political mood has changed. That's why she's coming out clearly. You know, you remember then after the elections, the violence and the sharp division in the country, the polarization. I think if she had come out that time, it would have been another case. But today, because the Premier, the Right Honorable Raila, is working with Jubilee, with the President, I think he feels it is the right time, and it is timely maybe to come up, not just to sell his organization, Cambridge Analytica, but also to own up and say that she took part in the agenda setting of the state.
The question would be if they were hired by Jubilee Party or maybe by the government. I think marketing is part of their job.
Yeah, it is part of their job, but you know, it played a very. It is just like these opinion polls, the Ipsos and Infotrak. You know, they set the agenda for the state. Okay. Whether or not they are private or yes, they are private. Like the Infotrak the other day, it gave maybe the information on how Kenyans are viewing the government, how Kenyans are viewing the president and the deputy president. You know, such information is true. We cannot say that it's true because it is not representative of the whole state, but it guides the agenda. It guides the agenda of the state. So Cambridge Analytica, like any other private organization that aims to set agendas or to give information about the whole state, actually guides the entire state. So you cannot say that it was hired by Jubilee, but its results, as you can see, affects every other part of the country.
Okay.
Yeah.
And of course, now to State House, and State House spokesperson Kanze Dena has defended Raphael Tuju, and of course she was addressing the journalist yesterday concerning the upcoming visit by Botswana President Eric Masisi. And of course, she said that Raphael Tuju is a loyal servant of the Jubilee government, and his actions are not undermining the Jubilee Party. So you remember Tuju has come under fire over some criticism from even the Deputy President himself, questioning his loyalty because he seems like to be mingling a lot with the opposition leaders.
Some people don't want to accept that there was handshake. And you know, when Kenyans or when the political mood changes because of a handshake between two senior-most leaders, the Right Honorable Raila and the President, people should expect that things will change in terms of even politicking and in terms of the debate surrounding the Kenyan affairs. Okay. So Raphael Tuju is an appointee of the President, and nobody, you know, including, you know, he was appointed. No person can sack Raphael Tuju from taking part or talking about the Building Bridges initiative, from talking about the president's agenda, the Big Four agenda, from talking about the handshake, or from uniting Kenyans, because he's an appointee of the president. And when the president came out and had a handshake with the premier, the former prime minister, people should expect Raphael Tuju to toe the line and to actually work with the people allied to the Right Honorable Raila Odinga. And that one is only normal because it is normal politically. It is right because he's only following his boss's line of thought.
It's funny how things are panning out. It's like now the deputy president and the president are two different because it's not the case as usual. Because every time the president says this, his deputy differs this way, maybe through action or through his lieutenants. Yeah. And so now the term presidency is somehow losing the meaning because this should be one institution.
You know, the deputy president is jittery because we have seen the dialogue about referendum. And he is wary because he understands that the president, maybe the Building Bridges initiative is about changing the constitution, which might keep him off balance when it comes to 2022. So he is only playing his cards right, and as a leader, he must be wary because he is eyeing the position, the presidency in 2022. So when he comes out clearly to maybe seem to be opposing the handshake or the Building Bridges initiative, he's only communicating to the public that he is being shortchanged, and he wants to find out what is in this handshake that is for him, because his lieutenants have suggested openly that maybe the handshake is about fighting the DP, which in my opinion is not true, because the president and even the premier, the prime minister, have come out to talk about uniting the country, and indeed we have seen political temperatures going down. And if the deputy president opposes the initiative, it means that he is maybe playing the card of 2022, which to me, if he plays it wrong, it will backfire on him. Okay. In the long run.
And of course, we have had issues with the betting farms. And yesterday, Interior CS Fred Matiang'i signed a deportation rule that would mean that over 17 foreign directors of the betting firms whose licenses were not renewed after the government pushed its crackdown on the gambling industry are not higher by ordering the deportation. So this means that around 17 directors of these rogue betting companies are going to be deported.
Yeah.
Now, they have not revealed the names of the individuals that are supposed to be deported, but these betting issues now taking a new twist.
Sure.
Some are saying is something like some are looking at it at a political angle. Others are looking at it at maybe it's a genuine move for the government. Others are saying it was too late. Maybe it should have been that earlier. Then there are also some questions because there are some of the rogue betting companies that operate in this country, which we don't want to mention them. We know them.
Yes.
People said money. They don't know what they are playing. The systems create the winners, and of course, no one is questioning them. Don't you see there is somehow a double standard being applied here?
For me, Matiang'i, the CS, is doing the right thing. In fact, it is very nice that it is clear that the foreigners are the ones who have taken control of these betting sites. 17 of them in the country, and maybe controlling money of Kenyans, of unsuspecting Kenyans who are in one way or another being robbed. And these said organizations are not paying their dues to the state. I mean, that is very wrong. So I feel like it is timely. It is timely because we cannot say that the government has delayed to do that. I think after testing the companies for this time, I think they have found out that maybe the companies are shortchanging the government or the state in terms of revenues, and given our deficit in our budget, okay. I think if the governments, these organizations are not ready to give their dues to the government, the state should come in and regulate. I think what Matiang'i and his Ministry of Interior is doing is to regulate betting, because our youth or our young generation seems to be engaged in betting so much that some of them want a shortcut to success. Okay. So he's just trying to regulate this system and maybe to have some formalities upon which the people who invest in the system must follow to help Kenyans maybe bet.
We also seen UK Parliament also raising the same issue, saying that the betting firms are avoiding the issue of rehabilitation because betting is somehow addictive.
Yeah.
So it's also a concern maybe for everyone, and they have also cited Kenya as an example. If you listen to what they were discussing in that parliament, Kenya was used as a case study, actually, something we should not smile about, actually.
You know, every country inspires innovation. But, you know, betting is an easy way to money. And a state that is serious on innovation, a state that is serious on inspiring technology, or inspiring its population to actually come up with new ways or techniques of solving issues, okay. Sees maybe betting as a shortcut or as a way to avoid innovation, which is the basket or the main thing that steers any state to development. So maybe when you see the UK coming up, even the Kenyan government, to regulate this sector, it means that they just want youths maybe to come up with very innovative ways of getting money. Okay. And to regulate this system means that they are only trying to save the future of the country. because if you have a huge population of people depending on betting, it means that the population, the percentage of the population that depends on betting maybe is not innovative and it wants easier money out of their situation or predicament, which is very wrong for any state.
Okay.
Yeah.
And of course, you have an editorial cartoon here talking about the maize politics. I think it should be shown on the screen in seconds. The editorial cartoon, we have a red cap here, which I guess symbolizes Jubilee government. And of course, we have the maize. You've seen it? Yes. We have the maize inside, and of course, we have the chicken on top. So we don't know who's the chicken. You have another guy here holding the trap.
Yes.
How do you make of this editorial cartoon? How do you interpret it?
To me, I think that the maize, the chicken is supposed to eat the maize, right? But you see the chicken is on top of that cape. And this person is using the maize to catch the chicken. To me, the chicken seems to be, although it has a face that is almost, that looks almost like the premier, the prime minister, but to me the chicken looks like Kenyans, and the person with the trap is the cartels maybe who are controlling the sector of maize in the country, and maybe they are using maize to maybe to take Kenyans maybe to a position that they cannot salvage themselves.
That's why we only have one maize corner inside.
Yeah, we only have one maize, and they want to trap the Mwananchi in that cartoon.
Okay, let's look at what the standard has.
Yes.
The standard this week has been focusing more on education matters, and of course, we also have on top of we also have the Magoa's new exam rules for schools. The CS gives directive on transportation of papers while keeping in place ban on sporting activities and visiting days in that term. And of course, civil servants now want to quit NHIF scheme. The government probe reveals shocking cases of members denied treatment at night, lower cover limits that force beneficiaries to pay for some procedures and fraudulent activities by healthcare providers. According to the statistics, total amount of medical cover for civil servants is around 4.2 billion, and the number of civil servants under this scheme are around 130,000. NHIF has been facing a lot of resistance, and of course it's due to poor services, and of course some people claim that sometimes when they go to hospitals, some hospitals usually don't accept the cards.
Sure.
Sometimes they are forced to choose one hospital, which is not possible. So is it time now we rethink about this scheme?
To me, I think it's time, although it has helped some Kenyans. I always base my argument on the Big Four agenda. The president included health, universal health care to his agenda. And although health is a devolved function, but this National Health Insurance Fund is national. Maybe there is this wrangle between the national government and the county governments on actually who should cater for the health of Kenyans. I think that's why these wrangles or this issue of quitting NHIF is coming up. To me, I feel like even it is almost the end of this first quarter of this financial year.
Okay.
And, I'm just surprised that at this rate, at this time, the county government and the government cannot agree on the division of revenue. Okay. That it is supposed to cater for health in the county governments. This country has 48 governments. And now we have one national government and 47 county governments.
And now that NHIF seems not to be working, and of course we are putting in mind that we have the universal healthcare that is also underway. It's pilot stages.
Yeah,
so
you see,
where does this put the trust of Kenyans to the government?
NHIF is a national function, and health is a devolved function, right? So what my argument is, if health is a devolved function and NHIF is a national function, maybe that wrangle between the counties and NHIF have come up because of the function or the devolution aspect. Because previously, NHIF was functioning perfectly in this country. NHIF was working. Some Kenyans were being covered. I also remember once I benefited from NHIF. But today, most hospitals seem not to care about NHIF because of devolution, because they fail to understand who will pay them in the long run. Some of them have issues to do with that. And you know, my blame goes to maybe the ambiguity of Chapter 12 of the Constitution about division of revenue, whereby you saw, as I've said earlier, the county government going to court, to the Supreme Court, to maybe for the Supreme Court to redefine Chapter 12 of the Constitution on budget allocation, which is supposed to cater for health. And to me, I feel like we should tie our devolution with an ideology. Because
okay, sorry for cutting you short, but
sure, it is okay.
We'll continue that discussion.
Yeah.
Of course, let's look at the last story here on the Standard that Haji gives EACC a null to arrest Waititu keen on graft charges. Kiambu Governor Ferdinand Waititu, his wife and daughter would soon be arrested to face graft release related charges. And of course, Rokin, we'll come to discuss this.
Yes.
Let's first of all look at the news updates.
It is okay.
And of course, we'll come and continue that discussion.
It is okay.
And to our news updates now, we start with the row between the governors and the county government, and of course Senate and the National Assembly. And now Council of Governors is blaming the President Uhuru Kenyatta for not standing his ground, and of course not directing the county assembly and this cabinet to support the counties.
Governors have heaped blame on President Uhuru Kenyatta for what they term as manipulation of the National Assembly to suffocate devolution. They say it was wrong for the president to sign the appropriation bill into law when the National Assembly and the Senate had not agreed on the county revenue sharing. Unlike the Senate, the National Assembly, however, has no issue with the presidential nod, which has resulted in a standoff between the two houses. Governor says financial taps are running dry and are feeling the heat after clocking 2 weeks of a new financial year without disbursement of funds. The storm swirls around the deadlock surrounding the division of County Revenue Bill 2019, over which governors have differed with the National Assembly about the county budgetary allocation. Parliaments want 47 counties to share 316 billion Kenyan shillings, an increment from 310 billion Kenyan shillings in the last financial year. Senators, on the other hand, want 327 billion Kenyan shillings sent to the counties after accepting a decrease from earlier recommended 335.7 billion Kenyan shillings. The differences became more pronounced when the mediation efforts between the Senate and the National Assembly failed. On Monday, the governors marched in solidarity to the Supreme Court to file a petition in which they seek to have some of the key issues clarified. Emmanuel Ouma, GBS TV.
And now to over the seas, and the former Kenyan icon, a lawyer come journalist, Esther Runga is now facing 25 years imprisonment in Australia after she admitted that she lied to the police over the death of her son.
Had it all was the face of an ambition and achievement, and the young looked up to her while the old admired her. All this came crashing down on Thursday when Australian Judge Martin Burns read his verdict against Esther Runga, the one famous lawyer and journalist who founded a church and tried politics back in 2010. Arunga on Monday told an Australian court that she lied to police about the status that led to her 3-year-old son's death on June 18, 2014. She did it, as she claims, to protect her husband Quincy Wambito Timberlake. She also pleaded guilty to being an auxiliary to the murder and faces up to 25 years in jail. At the time, the two say their son, Sinclair, was playing with his younger brother when he fell down a staircase. They gave him paracetamol so that his cries would not attract authorities or wild animal, and he went to bed. However, they said his condition got worse, prompting them to call paramedics, who pronounced the child dead. Arunga admitted to lying to police in an attempt to help her husband avoid punishment. Timberlake is accused of killing the boy 5 years ago in the family home in Caligu, Australia. Prosecutor Danny Ball was quoted by the Australian Associated Press telling the court that Arunga called the emergency service saying the boy had fallen down the stairs. According to the autopsy, the death was not consistent with the fall. Ball said Arunga kept up the lie only to open up when the cause of death was as a result of severe blunt force such as punching or stamping. She then said that on that fateful night, Timberlake was hitting their son in the stomach and threw him against a wall. She had earlier told investigators that her husband was convinced that the boy had a devil in his stomach and he was trying to get it out. Esther Withera, GBS Morning Extra.
And now some bad news for corrupt individuals in the country or people facing graft after the Director of Public Prosecution, Nordin Haji, has now struck a deal with the foreign envoys to bar Kenyans from investing outside the country and, of course, traveling to those countries when they are facing graft cases.
Director of Public Prosecution Nordin Haji is on a mission asking foreign countries to stop Kenyans charged with corruption from traveling there. Haji has been holding consultative meetings with ambassadors of various Western countries to discuss areas of cooperation and collaboration. Officials aware of the meeting said the DPP has been asking the envoys to help Kenya get back money believed to have been stolen here and hidden in their countries. He also asked the officials to work out ways of restricting those targeted for corruption cases from traveling abroad. The ODPP's office has apparently compiled a list of the suspected thieves ready for sharing with the foreign countries. He met 11 envoys last Tuesday in Nairobi before he left for Italy for official duty. The DPP and his team have also been visiting various countries where dirty money is believed to be. He and Kinoti arrived in Dubai for a similar mission. Reporting for GBS Morning Extra, Sharon Maloba.
Thank you so much, Maloba, for that amazing report. And of course, we're now going to take a quick breather. We'll be back with our discussion and, of course, to check the reactions from our guest here, Rocky Lokoi, concerning the Kiambu government and the pending arrests that are coming up. We'll be discussing that on the other side of the break. But now remember to join the conversation, #GBS Morning Extra. That's on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and 21144 SMS lines. See you on the other side of the break.